Rain hammered against the torn plastic sheet that the girl had stretched across the rusted metal frame of her shelter. It wasn't a real home, just a corner behind an abandoned shop, where broken crates and cardboard boxes served as her only walls. The cold seeped through everything she owned, but she had learned to live with it. Hunger, loneliness, fear, those she knew well. But tonight, something else pushed through the sound of rainfall, a faint cry. She froze. It wasn't human. It was softer, trembling, like something small struggling in the downpour. She stepped outside, pulling her thin hoodie tighter around herself. Cold rain instantly soaked her hair and sleeves, but she followed the sound anyway. At first, she saw nothing, just puddles and dark alleyways, but then, beneath a stack of crates near the dumpster, she noticed a shivering brown shape. A dog, a tiny one, no more than a few months old, curled up with its tail around its body, trying desperately to shield itself from the rain. The girl knelt beside it. "Hey, it's okay," she whispered softly, as if she were afraid the storm would swallow her voice. "I won't hurt you." The puppy looked up, frightened but too weak to run. Its fur was soaked, its legs trembling uncontrollably. Without hesitation, she lifted the small body carefully into her arms. The dog whimpered, but didn't resist. It was freezing, colder than she had expected, and she knew it wouldn't survive another night in the storm. "It's okay," she murmured. "You can stay with me tonight." She hurried back to her shelter, shielding the dog with her arms as best as she could. Once inside, she wrapped it in the only dry cloth she had, a faded towel she kept for emergencies. The puppy nestled into it immediately, letting out a small sigh as if finally safe. The girl smiled, even though her hands were numb. "I know, me too. I get it." She had rescued strays before, birds with broken wings or kittens abandoned in boxes, but this felt different. This dog looked like someone had owned it once. Its collar was missing, but the patch of fur around its neck showed a ring where one had clearly been. "Maybe you got lost," she said gently. "Don't worry, I'll take care of you for now." She lit a small candle, giving the dark shelter a warm glow. For the first time in days, she didn't feel alone. The puppy slowly drifted to sleep, comforted by the touch of someone who had almost nothing but still chose to give. The girl didn't sleep much that night. Every hour she checked on the dog, making sure it was breathing, making sure it stayed warm. When she finally closed her eyes, she leaned against the wall with the dog bundled against her chest, both of them surrounded by the faint orange light of the dying candle. Morning came too soon. She woke to the sound of footsteps, heavy ones, echoing in the alley. She stiffened. People rarely came here, and the ones who did usually brought trouble. Gently placing the puppy inside the towel nest, she stepped out cautiously. To her shock, a group of men in black jackets stood at the entrance of the alley. They weren't police, nor local shop owners. They looked official, important, and at the center of them was a man holding a leash and staring down at his phone, frustration etched into his features. The girl ducked behind a crate, but before she could hide fully, the puppy let out a small bark from inside her shelter. Every head turned. The man's eyes widened. "That's him," he said. The girl's heart froze as he began walking toward her. She backed away, terrified, unsure if she had done something wrong. The puppy, hearing the familiar voice, crawled out of the shelter and wagged its tail. The man fell to his knees immediately, scooping the dog into his arms. "Oh, thank God," he whispered, burying his face in the pup's fur. "I thought I'd lost you forever." His voice cracked slightly, something the girl did not expect from someone dressed in a suit that probably cost more than she would ever see in her life. Another man approached him, holding out a tablet. "Sir, should we inform the office you've located Max?" "Not yet," he replied, shaking his head. "Give me a moment." The girl stayed silent, unsure whether to run or stay. She was about to step back into her shelter when the man finally looked at her. "You saved him." His voice softened immediately. "You must have." She tried to shrug. "He was alone, in the rain. I just didn't want him to die." The man stared at her a moment longer, taking in her soaked clothes, her cold hands, and the makeshift shelter she lived in. Something in his expression changed, like he had just realized the weight of what she had done. "Do you live here?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. "For now. You took care of him all night," didn't you? She nodded. The man swallowed hard. Max isn't just a pet. He's family. My wife passed away last year. She raised him. I've been looking for him since last night. The girl looked at the puppy, now safe in the man's arms. He missed you, she whispered. The man exhaled, almost shakily. I owe you more than you know. She shook her head. You don't owe me anything. He needed help, but the man didn't seem convinced. He stood up slowly, handing Max to one of his assistants, then knelt slightly to the girl's eye level. Listen, he said, I want to help you. At least let me get you something to eat. She shook her head again, stepping back. You don't have to. I want to, he insisted softly. Please. She wasn't used to kindness. It made her uncomfortable, unsure of how to respond. But before she could say anything more, the man stood and spoke to his assistant. Prepare the car. We're taking her with us. Her eyes widened. What? No, I can't. You saved Max, he said. Let me give you a safe place to stay. Just for today. Just breakfast. Nothing more. His tone was gentle, not forceful. She realized he wasn't trying to take control of her life. He was trying to thank her. Finally, she nodded. The next hour felt unreal. She sat inside a luxurious car, warmer than anything she'd felt in months. Max sat on her lap, licking her hands as if saying thank you. She stared out the window, unsure if this was a dream. They drove to a tall building. Glass, steel, and lights. His office. The headquarters of one of the biggest companies in the city. People stared as they entered, confused why their CEO had brought a homeless girl and his dog inside, but no one questioned him. He took her to his private lounge and brought out a bag filled with food, fresh, warm, delicious. She ate slowly at first, unsure if she was allowed, until he handed her a bottle of juice and said, eat as much as you want. You're safe here. After breakfast, he asked her questions, gentle ones. Where she had come from. If she had family. What she wanted in life. She answered honestly, though with hesitation. When she finished speaking, he stood silently for a moment. You deserve better, he said quietly. Let me help you get there. I don't want charity, she whispered. This isn't charity, he replied. It's gratitude. He gave her a temporary place to stay in one of the company's guest rooms. Clean clothes. A warm shower. For the first time in years, she slept in a real bed. But the part she didn't expect came the next morning. A knock on her door. She opened it slowly. The CEO stood there, holding Max in his arms, and a small envelope. This, he said, is the beginning of a new life for you. If you let me help. Her eyes widened as she looked at the envelope, but what made her heart tremble wasn't the envelope itself, it was the kindness behind it. The sincerity. The fact that someone finally cared. He smiled gently. You saved my dog, he whispered. Let me save you. And for the first time in a long time, she felt hope.